People on Riverdale's leafy streets praised the year-long federal investigation, although it brought the alleged plot close to home.
Well, I think they should have stopped it earlier if they could have. But evidently they had to get evidence against these men.
You have to get people like this in jail and away from doing harm. Really would have been horrible if they had, carried through with it.
The 4 suspects, all Americans, have been charged with conspiracy to use weapons of mass destruction and to acquire and use anti-aircraft missiles. They were arrested after placing inactive bombs in cars outside 2 synagogues in Riverdale. They also allegedly planned to use a guided missile to shoot down a military plane from an Air National Guard base in Newburgh, the economically depressed upstate New York City where all 4 lived. New York Governor David Paterson spoke to reporters after meeting with Judith Lewis, rabbi at the Riverdale Temple, one of the targeted synagogues.
But for someone hearing about this and becoming an informant, we might have been witness to a terrible tragedy right here in New York City, which has had its share of terrorism and, unfortunately, of violence.
But Rabbi Lewis said her liberal congregation was far from a likely terrorist target.
I don't think we're the people that skilled terrorists would want to attack, and clearly these were unsophisticated amateurs.
The investigation began after a tip from an informant who remained a key actor in the plot. Officials say the men, all of whom have served prison time for petty crimes, have no connection to international terrorism. Suspect Laguerre Payen occasionally attended a Newburgh mosque, where Assistant Imam Hamin Rashada questioned his mental state.
He has some serious psychological problems, very serious psychological problems. He suffers from some serious paranoia.
Earlier, New York City Police Commissioner Raymond Kelly described the suspect's motivations.
They wanted to commit jihad. They were disturbed about what was happening in Afghanistan and Pakistan, that Muslims were being killed.
Richard Stein, publisher emeritus of the local Riverdale Press, said he anticipates the suspects will argue that the FBI entrapped them by having the informant encourage the plot and furnish the weapons.
And another question is, how did these particular people choose Riverdale? Did they have some connection here? Certainly there are many closer Jewish communities and many more obvious Jewish communities closer to Newburgh than Riverdale.
Officials have not said why the alleged plotters from Newburgh selected Riverdale as a target. Carolyn Weaver, VOA News, New York.